Morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. My name's Lee Ping, and I'm the account manager at Kick. This morning we've got a great presentation being delivered by Rob Jackson at Cosmos. This morning we're going to be looking at Cosmos reporting. It's a lightning fast cloud reporting and analytics specifically built for Business Central Cloud. We spend around 30 minutes this morning's presentation, and we'll have some questions and answers at the end. Now, this is Kick's third webinar with Cosmos, and we've got a number of customers who are now benefiting from the flexible reporting capabilities. Just a quick agenda today. So today's agenda, just running through reporting, the live demo. We're going to get started with 33 built reports, a 5-minute insight into build a financial report, sort of showing how effortless, secure, and how we can distribute the reports using self-service and Power BI.
Okay, good. Lee, thank you very much. And just before we get started, I thought it would be useful just to run through the solutions that are possible basically when you're using Business Central in the cloud. What options do you have for reporting? First off, of course, Business Central does have some reporting out of the box that's included. I think one thing particularly to be aware of with that is that it's very much single company oriented. And it's the same with Power BI. Microsoft have delivered some out-of-the-box Power BI reports, but again, it's very focused on single company usage. So if there's any customers on the call that's got multiple companies within a Business Central environment, then that's something certainly that Cosmos makes things much easier. Now, with Cosmos, you have got the capability of as a third-party reporting solution, which is built specifically for Business Central in the cloud. It's focused on reporting both in Excel and also in Power BI, but reporting from a governed data model, which is a very simplified version of your Business Central data presented in a way that is a lot easier for business users to understand and navigate. So we'll basically take a look at that. Now, in comparison with other legacy solutions, Cosmos is a cloud-hosted service. So it kind of sits right next door to Business Central, and all of our report execution is actually carried out on our cloud service and not on your local machine. So one of the biggest complaints that we hear of legacy solutions is the speed at which reporting operates, and also the fact that the process of reporting is basically tying up local resources on your machine. So for instance, your Excel might be locked out for 10-15 minutes while a report's running, and you just cannot continue with any other work. And Cosmos kind of eliminates like a lot of these headache problems. And when we execute a report on Cosmos, that's all taking place on our service, and we're just saving the result out to a SharePoint repository on your side. So we'll be taking a look at that. And as Lee mentioned in the demo today, we'll first be focusing on the out-of-the-box reports that you get delivered with Cosmos. So just so you're aware of the process, Cosmos is delivered in 30 minutes. So this allows us to connect everything up to your Entra, so you can sign in, connect everything up to your Business Central, and get everything deployed for you. And I'm going to ask Lee if you'd send out the link for this afterwards, but this is a web page on our website that basically highlights all of the sample reports that you can get out of the box. So there's a whole suite of reports here focused on different business areas. So for example, if I want a sales report, then I'll just come here and see, for instance, customer sales by month. So for the main presentation, I'm actually going to switch my camera off just so you can see the screen a little bit larger from your perspective. So I'll just go ahead and do that now. So hopefully you can see things a little clearer. And I'm just about to log into the Cosmos portal, which is the user interface which you would be working with. And I'm just going to log into a particular environment, and this takes me to a home screen. So just on here, just to focus on, I've got lots of reports basically here that are already pinned. If I come to the reports area and go to create a new report, all of those sample reports are available from a gallery where you can just simply import the templates directly from here. So this is the whole suite of reports that is basically highlighted on that previous website. What I've got here actually is pinned one of those reports already, which is the customer sales summary by month. So I've just got that pinned as a favorite report. This was freshly imported yesterday, and I'll just go ahead and run that. And most reports ask, okay, what filters would you like to set before actually running the report? So if I just set on here, I mean, since it is a by month report, I'll just select the whole of last year. So from the 1st of Jan to the 31st of December 2025. And then when we go off and run the report, you'll see at the top there's an activity that is running. But what's actually happening in the background is that the report is executing based on the latest data, based on that template, and then seamlessly the report is opened up when it's finished, and that's actually saved to a SharePoint repository, which would be on your side. So there's a My Finished Reports folder that is specific to every single user. If I wanted to look at this specifically to see, I've got the opportunity here to open up the Cosmos task pane, and any report that has an aggregate, we have the capability of seeing in a really easy way how this number is basically made up. So this just confirms that it's summing up the sales field from the sales transactions table, and then I have a viewing tab here where I can drill down and I can see all of the individual transactions that make up that particular aggregate. Okay, so just so you're aware, we have two main users of Cosmos. We have full users who have got the ability to actually write the report templates, and then we have light users who can just view the reports and execute with their own date filters. They can use the drill down capability, that type of thing. But the reports, I think Lee mentioned, like from a security perspective, all of the reports are basically tied down to security. So if I just take this report here, for instance, and come to permissions, you'll see here that these three users haven't got any permissions to view this particular report. So from their perspective, when they log into the portal, they wouldn't necessarily see everything here that I'm seeing in front of me now. So for the webinar, Lee set me, let's say, a little bit of a challenge. He said, look, I think customers really quite often want to see a financial report, and they would like to see like how they're tracking this year, maybe against last year, maybe against a budget and that type of thing. So what I've done here is just lay out a format of what Lee described to me, and I'm just going to basically copy this into the same webinar reports folder, and I'll just call this expense report. There's nothing in this at all which is Cosmos specific. All I've done is literally put a title to the report. I've put a couple of column headings on here just to give us a basic layout. Let me just close a couple of these other tabs. Might just load that up again. Let me just edit that again. And this should give me the, this is not going to behave. Just bear with me 2 ticks. I'm going to just copy that report again. This is a live demo, so we'll just see if we could just do that again. Okay, so this is what we should have ended up with. Basically, as a report designer, I get, let's say, a different view of the task pane, which is the add-in, and this is basically the toolbox that I have available to me to build out the actual report itself. Okay, so what I've put on here, so what I require is basically a list of expense GL accounts. What I want to show in column D is the amount for the period that the user puts into the report. In column F, I want to know, okay, what was the equivalent period for the prior year? And then I want to show a variance. And then also I want to be able to show my budget figure and what the variance is against a budget. Okay. Now, to kind of make this a bit more complicated for myself, we'll add another couple of filters in here as well, just so we make the report quite flexible. So what I'll do to begin with is just add a report option, which basically is a suggestion to the users, and I'll just put this in for January 2026. Now, users might want to filter by other things, so we can add some other bits in here. So let's just say that our data in Cosmos is multi-company. So let's just say that I want the opportunity to focus just on one individual company, or I can indeed switch this off to have the report run for all companies. Quite often when you're posting transactions within Business Central, you are posting dimension values. So global dimension 1 for myself is like a division. So I could put in here a division name, and I could basically switch that off just for now. So the user's got the opportunity to switch this on should they need to. And then finally, for the budget column, if I've got multiple GL budgets, then I can just put a budget name just inside here. So the budget name is just the same as the year, but this would allow a user to switch to a different budget, so something different would appear in column I instead. Now, to begin with, I've got a report start date, which I'm going to present on the report here, and I can quite easily just take that from the report options and then just drop that into the report here. And then quite simply, we can just use Excel just to do an eDate formula where we're just taking the start, and then we're just going to spin back 12 months. This is just required to be formatted just in a second. So let me just come here, and this will make more sense when I just switch this to a short date. And now I've got two relative dates back 1 year from the dates that I've basically entered. And with Cosmos, we can use a feature here called Excel links, and then we could just create two Excel links here, one for the prior year start date. And then I could just save that one off there, and then this one here, and this will be the prior year end date. And then we can use this just later on in the report. Now, just for your information, these Excel links kind of snap to the fields that they're tied to afterwards. So it always kind of references one individual cell within the workbook somewhere. So now what I'm going to do is add a function that is basically going to create one row for every single general ledger account number that I'm interested in seeing. So I choose the right table. What you're seeing here is the representation of Business Central data, but like mentioned, this is represented in a much easier format to follow. Now, in my filters, you'll see that this is picked up automatically the company filter, should there be one from the report options. But I can just add here some other filters. So I'm just going to include in here the range of my expense accounts. So in my situation, this is just simply a range of GL account numbers. I could add another filter to say, well, actually only include account types that are posting accounts, for example. So it just restricts what the function's going to produce. And now I've got a function, if I click away, and I can snap back to that, and that's basically going to create me one row for the GL account numbers according to that filter. Just here in the name field, if I come to field lookups, I can then focus in on the GL account table, and then I can include the actual name of that GL account, and I could continue that as wide as I really need it to. Okay, so now for the aggregates. So in column D, what we want to include here is I'm going to take from the GL transactions, which is basically the general ledger entries, and I'm going to sum up the amount. Now, the nice thing with Cosmos is that the filters automatically fill themselves in. This is automatically going to be filtered by the GL account number that this row is for. It's going to filter by the posting date range that I've put in as a user, and it's going to filter by the company and the dimension code. So all of this is kind of done automatically for me. If I want to create a similar aggregate, but for the prior year, very similar process, we're just going to sum up the amount, but this time in the filters, and I can actually just call this amount PY, so it's just got a friendly name. And then in the filters, we're just going to say that we need a filter between the dynamic date of the start of the prior year to dynamic to the end of the year. So I'm just picking up the Excel links. Apart from that, the aggregate will basically work in the same way. And then we can very easily just use a combination of Excel. So if I want my variance to be the amount minus the amount of the prior year, then my variance quantity will show in here. Finally, just for the budget, similar process. We're basically going to sum up the budget amount transactions. Again, if I look at the filter, this is going to pick up the budget name from the report option. So all of these filters come through automatically for me. And again, for the variance, I can just say that this equals the budget number minus the amount, or however you want that, whichever way round that you would like that to be. Anything at the bottom of the report, we can basically just sum up. I'm just going to get rid of the ones in the spaces here, and then we can just format this whole thing however as we require, and then I'll just make the totals bold, for example. And basically that's my report complete. If I just come here and preview this, so as a report designer, I can basically just test my report out to see what this is going to look like before I basically check the report back into the portal, where I can then share the report out to other users. So when you preview reports, this is going to again kind of pop open in a window when it's kind of complete. So I'm kind of working side by side. I've got the template here, and this is actually the output of what we've designed. In fact, I may have made a mistake on the budget numbers for some reason. So in fact, if I run the report again, let me just switch off that budget filter. I may have just got something wrong there with the naming convention, and then we'll just run the report again just to see what the output is like. So, and then once everything's finished, so we've got some budget numbers there. I've obviously typed something wrong there. And if I come back to the expense report, when I'm basically finished, I can just close this down, come back to the Cosmos portal, and then just check in, and then I'll just type in there that this is the webinar demo, and this will basically check the report in as a controlled version. Every time that I make any changes, a new version is kind of checked in, and then I can always revert back to a previous copy if I make a mistake or something like that. But Cosmos is taking care, if you like, of all of the version control, so users always get the most up-to-date template when they log in themselves and they access this report. So now you've seen, okay, me running reports manually just like this. This again is the same report, so I could put in the same date range. I could say, well, actually, this time run a report for me for all companies, but now just for the electronics division. And I'll switch my budget filter off, so that basically works. And now I've got a multi-company report that just focuses in on one of the dimension codes, for example. So this is kind of flexible. So when you come to actually schedule the reports, you can actually put these report options now in as a parameter, because it might mean that, you know, for this electronics division report, this might come out to a different set of recipients than another department, for example. If I just go to scheduled reports and just show you something that's already been set up, this is a sales report that is focused on one particular salesperson. So if I just edit this, this is the definition of the scheduled job. So I've got a year filter, I've got the code of a salesperson in this case rather than a dimension value, and then I'm the recipient as an email address, which is a sales report for Jessica Monroe, who's one of the users. So if I just go ahead and just run this on demand, or equally it could just be set at a certain time. You might have regular reports that you want to run. The important part as well, just to point out, is that the recipient can either be an email address, and that could be any valid email address. That could be somebody within your organization, somebody outside of your organization, and you do not need to be a licensed user of Cosmos in order to receive the reports. So if I just now drag across the output from this report. You can check the date and time. This is all kind of live stuff. So this is Jessica's report. The main version of this report has like one sheet for every single salesperson. So you might have a finance team that's running the main version of the report. So this is the output just in Excel that's just opened. And again, I would have the same drill down capability here. Okay, so so it's nice that you can basically build templates that you can add filter combinations in different orders, and then that is the basis then for your distribution. One thing just about how you would learn more about Cosmos, we've actually got a very nice online library of articles, and we've also got AI built into the product. We've got our friendly helper here called Captain Cosmos, and you can ask questions in natural language. So let's just say that I had a report that I wanted to distribute. So how do I set up batch reports? And so if you wanted to send a report out, say, to 30 or 40 recipients, rather than setting up 30 or 40 of those individual things, you can actually create like a batch template. And then every single time that you get directed to the knowledge base, there's always a pretty short walkthrough video. So there's a 7-minute video that focuses on this particular topic, and then a walkthrough about how that particular process is achieved. And this is just a screenshot here of a snippet of one of the templates. So you can work in this way and use the AI tool. You can do that either via the portal or via the Excel add-in, or you can just navigate directly to the training section, where we've got online training videos, things focused on reporting, getting started videos, that type of thing. So I will ask Lee if you're able to kind of share that out afterwards. Just as a reminder, just in a few minutes, we'll be taking any questions, and we love it when questions come in. So please get any questions that you have ready for the end of the session. And if you just type those in, and then Lee will be able to ask those of me just in a couple of minutes. The final part is Power BI. I've got a Power BI report already pinned here to the main menu, and basically Power BI approaches things in a slightly different way. When you run a report in Excel, and Excel is still a very, very popular user interface, particularly for finance departments, that type of thing. But if you wanted something more interactive, the way that Power BI works is that Power BI kind of has got multi-years worth of data right down to transactional level, and then you've got this interactive experience of kind of selecting exactly what this is in terms of the selections across multi-dimensions. So for example, the company, if you have again multiple companies, just becomes another slicer within the actual report itself. But it is very important that this data kind of ties up with the reports that I'm distributing in Excel, for example. So if I actually just open up and go back to the report that we just had for Jessica Monroe and just remind ourselves of what that basically told us, the data for this really should tie up exactly to Power BI. So this is a report that's just been run. This is all of Jessica's customers, all of the months being split out across the top. These basically expand dynamically. So if I was to put a date range in of 2 years, I would get 24 columns. But if you see here the number at the bottom, this 4.060 million, and then I go back to my Power BI report with the same set of filters for Jessica for 2024, if I take away the Bluetooth, then all of the sales basically add up to that same number. And this is really important, the fact that you're pointing back at a governed data model that is for the entire organization, but it's consistent for all of your Excel reports, plus also your Power BI dashboards. So you're kind of taking away the logic, if you like, of the business calculations, and you're putting that into the actual data part. And we're just using Excel and Power BI as the presentation layers for people to consume. But certainly with the comfort, if you like, of the fact that the numbers kind of tie up between those two reporting presentation styles. Okay, and then finally, just one piece of news, I guess, is that on the roadmap, there is a new suite of Power BI dashboards that are going to be released. I haven't got a date for that yet, but that is new content that that is going to be released pretty shortly. So if you look out on the Cosmos website, or you can follow us also on LinkedIn, then there will certainly be an announcement about that. So, Lee, I'm just going to run through quickly just a couple of customer experiences and testimonials. I'll just put my camera back on. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but basically, I think really some of the most important feedback that we get is, like, for example, if you look at Amy on the left-hand side, like we have seen customers do this where their legacy reporting solution, they've had to actually buy a separate machine, have that in the corner of an office somewhere, running the reports, because otherwise their own machine gets too tied up when they're trying to run monthly reports. Sometimes reports can run into several minutes, even hours to run, for example. Or we've got a case study on the website. If you look at the right-hand side, Whitehorse Insurance, a customer that I worked with, they have had a really good experience with Cosmos. They basically have different insurance products that they split by dimension code, and we've basically helped automate all of their reporting, distribution, and it really kind of saves hours. So if you have a look at the website, you'll see a testimonial and a case study there for Whitehorse Insurance, which has been recently released. Okay, Lee, I'm going to let you do some talking now, and I'm going to hope that you've got a couple of questions for us before we wrap up the session.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for that, Rob. Yeah, I've got a question come in about existing development. Basically, can Cosmos pick up my existing development so they can report on the bespoke fields?
Yeah, okay. So the way that Cosmos connects to Business Central is quite unique, in the sense that we have an extension from AppSource that we install onto the Business Central environment, and that gives us access to basically every single table and field. So it could be standard Microsoft tables and fields. It could be customizations that you have done for from Kik for particular customers. Or it could be that you've installed products from other products from AppSource, but that always basically is dynamic and it stays up to date. And any custom table and field you can include inside the data model. That is one thing about the standard Microsoft APIs. It only gives you access to a subset of the standard Microsoft tables and fields. And if you can't get access into something that you need, then the only other opportunity of doing that without a specific connector is to actually have a custom API written for you. So as well as having the custom work done, you have to have a custom API to be able to access any information. But bear in mind that that is very focused on a specific requirement. So and we've seen customers in the past end up with lots of different APIs. They start to overlap with one another. They become quite difficult to manage. So Cosmos helps eliminate that challenge.
Great, thanks, Rob. And there's another question coming about the security. Obviously, they're looking at the reports are held in Cosmos, but how is that secured for data security?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different approaches that you can take to security, Lee. I think I showed one of those, which was actually when you design a report template, does a certain user see that template or not when they log into the Cosmos portal? You can actually build effectively security. So rather than giving like a report option at the beginning where somebody runs a report, then you could actually have like a filter hard baked into the design of the actual report itself. And then finally, topic which I didn't look at, you may have seen it on the Cosmos portal, is that we actually have row level security. So it could be, so let's say you've got two companies, but a user is only allowed to see the data from one of those companies. You can actually apply row level security, and that applies automatically to any connections that are being made via Power BI or any Cosmos report that's being run. So it's just impossible, if you like, for the report to generate information based on tables that a user hasn't got access to.
Great, thank you. There's no more questions at the moment. Okay. So thanks so much, Rob. Thanks for presenting the demonstration. Well, everyone, thanks for your time today. As I said, at KIC, we've got quite a few customers who have moved across to Cosmos. They're joining the sort of flexibility and ease of the reporting functionality. If you need more information about the products and pricing, if you want an individual demonstration with myself and Rob presenting, you can contact your account manager, or you can email KIC-ICT at ask@kic-ict.co.uk. And I think that's us.
Good. So much, I appreciate you inviting us, Lee. It's very much appreciated, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that people have got after the session. So.
Great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.